All right, so before we go into like the first album, there's some couple things before then though. So something interesting that I think a lot of people don't know is you actually went to high school with Chino XL.
Yes, I did. Well, actually, no. Chino went to school at Clifford Scott, was across, not too far from East Orange High School.
Oh,
And
okay.
these two schools were like rival football schools. It's like, so East Orange High School, where I went, was like the hood school. You know what I'm saying? But then like Clifford Scott, when you go to their school, it's nice and clean, neighborhood clean, nice and middle class. It was like when you went in their school, it was like you was in a different world episode. All the girls in the school was looking nice. I'm like, damn. We used to infiltrate their school because they had talent shows too. So we used to go do talent shows at Clifford Scott. And that's how, but I knew Chino through, when you rap in the neighborhood, everybody know each other. So I knew my man Vega, uh, him and Kerry, they was like, uh, and Chino was like, they was into Zulu Nation back then. So they were with dashikis and stuff and was really into it. And they went to the meetings and wore the beads and everything, medallions. And like I said, you saw everybody go through their journey. Just like I saw New Style go through their journey. So you talking about Tretch. At one point, we all did meet each other at a time, whether it was we supposed to battle, but nobody never battled because it was like everybody had their, how to say, hood start of who we all were. So it was always a respect. Nobody could say they really had a battle with each other. I went to school with Naughty. You know, it was just me battling them in contests and talent shows. You know, but we all knew what each other could do. So I knew Chino through that first. And then like he was out of all of us, he was one of the first guys to make a record.
Mm.
So that means something in the hood from where we from, because, you know, everybody get their shot. And he got his shot very early, and then got another shot. So and he made his second album, solo album, and then he moved to LA and moved to West.
What was your first reaction when you heard him rhyme?
See, my man, like, so Chino was the guy where you like, he not say rap fast, but his diction was so fucking clear. You couldn't help but like, I mean, he was like this even early on, but like not like when he became the beat. But you saw he had remnants of it. But like to see him grow from art of origin to where he was Chino, what I saw him to be, I was like, damn. Yeah, I mean, when I saw him, he came home, he used to come home a couple of times here and there, and I would see him. I was like, bro, like, for what it's worth, for you to leave here and go make another life for yourself there, like, I'm talking about a whole nother career, and become this guy there, which made us here understand that, you know, with a lot of things that he went through, and we all know all of this stuff. But even when I heard it, and I told him myself, I said, whatever you feel like you got to do, bro, do that. Because later on when I would see him, I was like, see what I mean? About we went and thought about them that time, we talked about it. And I was like, you only just went on ahead and just made this life for yourself where you know, the beast. I'm trying to slip it up because I don't want to curse. And I don't know if we could or not, but
Yeah, you can curse as much as you want.
I was like, Gino was a fucking beast, man.
Yeah.
Like, for him, like, and this goes back to where I go back to the hate part. You had a lot of motherfuckers hate on him. Where, you know, from his start to Rick Rubin, to this dude making movies and shit like that, I'm like, yo, I was proud of him.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people can't leave home and go somewhere else and make another life and do good at it. To where a lot of people that I knew respected him in the same way. But then, like, I saw him in Paris. We did a show, Sway and Tech. was with him. It was him. Wild Child was there. But when I saw him, I was so shocked to see him there. He couldn't help but tell Sway, like, yo, me and this dude went to the prom together. And he was like, yo, you bullshit. And I was like, no, we did.
I was just
Like-
about to ask you that because he lived across the street from your girlfriend at the time, right?
So, like, where Chino, where his family lived at, and his sister and his wife and everything, they lived next door to my son's aunt house. So, but this was, like I said, it's in the neighborhood, it's in the hood. So, like, when you, this is how personal we know each other. Like, but I didn't know that the chick that I was going to go to the prom with was best friends with his girlfriend. So this is how we wind up together, going to the prom. So we, like, literally, like, me and him splitting the limo prices, we getting tuxedoed up and everything. I can find out. You know what? I'm gonna see if I can find out if somebody got a picture of that, because we took pictures that night. And
I was just about to ask you if you got a picture of that.
I never thought to ask him, but I'm gonna see if I can find some. just so I can prove to people that we was in the limo dressed up.
I don't want to go into it too much, but I mean, obviously, it's a sad situation seeing how things ended with
Right.
his life and everything like that. You know, how do you? What was your reaction when you heard that?
With Chino? Oh man. Like, sometimes I hate my phone because, especially with Facebook, I call Facebook the death book. Because every time I go in there, it's nothing but to remind people passing away. So when I start seeing stuff on my feed, and I'm like, what? You know, so I know people that have done music with him, did interviews with him, you know, that know I know him, you know, where even we was on interviews together. That was hard because, like I said, we don't know what everybody go through, you know, in their regular day when we not on stage, when we not in the booth. You know, so it's like, you know, I'm glad that sometimes we would check in, or I would see him, you know, busy or doing stuff. And 1 minute, you know, we talking. 1 minute we, you know, liking each other's pictures on tour. I saw him on tour with a Motor Technique and Poison Pen. We was in Switzerland. So I didn't know he was there, but when I saw him, and these dudes don't understand, I gave him the biggest hug I could give him. Because no different than when I saw him in Paris with Sway and Tech. I was like, yo, like, we made it. You know what I'm saying? Me and this dude, we in Paris about to perform together. So I always remind him, remember what I said, bro. You know, you left home to make it somewhere else. And now look where we at together. You know, and I was solo at the time, broken up for me and Tame from Artifacts. So he had words for me where it was encouraging, where he telling me to keep going.
Yeah, man, it's a sad situation, you know, especially for his family and everything, and what has transpired after the
Yeah.
fact, which, you know, I don't want to go into. It's kind of messy, right?
Yeah, no, I trust me. I read, I see stuff, and just this is what happens when people die. But when you the people you come up with and people you work with, you know, I trust me. I'm a victim of it myself. You never know what people are capable of, and in certain situations, and what they would do.
Right. Well, rest in peace to Chino, man.
No doubt, that's my brother. You know, one of the greatest dudes in New Jersey to come out of here, and he will never be forgotten. Trust me. When it comes, his name is mentioned in many conversations when it comes to the illest MCs out of Jersey.
For sure.